Hey guys, wanna know a fun fact? Owning a Blackhawk is really expensive. I'm sitting here going over some of the invoices, the maintenance invoices. You guys remember the last video, right, that we released talking about all the work we're doing to the Blackhawk to get it up and flying. And you know, when I went into this project, I knew that it was gonna be pricey. But this is just a fun reminder right here in front of me, all this breakdown of everything that we gotta pay to get this thing up in the air and flying. But it's money well spent, and I'm still getting a great deal on some of this work. So, in order to make this project happen, we've had a few different companies jump in to help us out, like the sponsor of today's video, Conflict of Nations. They decided that they want to see the Blackhawk flying just as bad as we do, so they stepped up and said, hey, we'll sponsor the video of you learning how to fly the Blackhawk. And I said, okay, that sounds fantastic. It'll help chip away at some of these bills. So I want you guys to pay attention, because what I'm about to talk about is very important, because this company is helping us make this happen. Conflict of Nations is a free player versus player strategy game. You can choose a real country to lead in a modern global warfare. You can fight up to 128 other players in real time in games that can take up to weeks to complete. You can use as many different units to build your army as you want. You can declare war on your neighbors or forge alliances with other players. And you can choose your own strategy, engage in epic battles, and, if you're good enough, take over the entire world. It's cross-platform, so it's the same account on both PC and mobile. If you click on the link in my description right now, you're gonna get 13,000 gold and 1 month of premium subscription absolutely free. This offer is only available for 30 days, so don't miss out. So guys, if you want an opportunity to take over the world by choosing your own strategy and engaging in the most epic battles with the most modern weapons, you have to click the link in my description and download Conflict of Nations. You're gonna get 13,000 gold and 1 month of premium subscription absolutely free. The offer's only good for 30 days, so don't miss out. Click the link in my description now and choose your country and fight your way to victory. Welcome back to I Bought a Blackhawk. Now guys, if you're joining me for the first time, you should know that I'm a private helicopter pilot who recently purchased an Army Blackhawk helicopter, and I'm getting it refurbished, modified, upgraded to my liking, and I'm getting licensed to fly it. Because believe it or not, you have to have a very specific license in order to fly a Blackhawk helicopter. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. When you become a pilot, a private pilot, you have to fly an aircraft for 40 hours with an instructor. You have to receive ground instruction, which is called ground school, and then you have to receive the flight instruction, which is the hands-on flying around part. Now, when I got my pilot's license, I decided to go straight for the rotorcraft rating, which means helicopter, instead of fixed wing, because I just, had more interest in flying helicopters than I did airplanes. So I'm gonna back up a little bit to my very first experience flying a helicopter. Back when I was about 21, 22, I saw an ad that said, hey, come take a demo flight in a helicopter and see what it's like to be a pilot. They put me in a Schweitzer 300, which is it's a small piston-powered helicopter with 3 seats across the front. And I remember jumped in there, and the instructor, the pilot, the guy who was putting on the demo flight, was like, all right, here's how it works, showed me the basics, and he got us up flying, and then he let me take the controls for a second. And it was wild. That was the moment where helicopters really started to stick for me. After that day, I thought, okay, I'm gonna become a helicopter pilot. I'll fly for a living, I'll go fly for an air ambulance company, or I'll fly tours in Hawaii. I had all these big dreams of flying for a living. Unfortunately, at the time, which now looking back, I'm really glad it happened like this, I wasn't able to afford the training program. I wasn't able to afford flight school. It was like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And I was young, just getting started in business. I didn't have the money to be able to go do that. But from that moment on, I thought, I need to figure out a way to fly helicopters. And then my career started to take off, and I started to really enjoy what I was doing. And I became really glad that I wasn't flying helicopters professionally for a living, simply because you have to work a lot of kind of lower paying, hard flying jobs, flying older aircraft. You have to pay your dues, is what I'm saying. So the first helicopter I bought was a Bell Jet Ranger. I didn't want to fly piston-powered helicopters simply because I knew that moving forward, all my time was going to be in turbine-powered helicopters, basically the ones that run on jet fuel rather than, 100 low-lead gasoline. Surprisingly, there's a lot of viewers watching these videos that have given us feedback saying, hey, I want to learn how to fly, I want to get my license, where do I start? So I'm going to give you just a quick breakdown, kind of the steps that you have to follow in order to be able to, get your license to fly. First thing you have to do is go get a medical exam. It's called medical certificate, 3rd class. And then you go to your instructor and you say, hey, I want to become a student pilot. The instructor then goes to the FAA website and walks you through all the forms to be able to get your student certificate. The student certificate is what allows you to actually start training and logging your hours, okay? So I got those 2 things. I got my student certificate, I got my medical, I met my instructor in Tennessee, and I purchased a helicopter. And then we jumped in it and started to fly home. And that's when my training began. So flying home, you know, took us, I think it was 10, 15 hours of flight time. The whole time we're doing training, learning about all the emergency procedures, basically everything that goes into it. And the reason why this was beneficial and the reason why I recommend this to anybody who's able, it fast tracks your license. You know, typically to get your private pilot's license, it can take people, you know, up to a year sometimes because they are working on the schedule of instructors, schools, aircraft availability. Now, not everybody has the luxury to go out and buy a helicopter, but airplanes, like small planes to learn in, you can get them for pretty cheap. I mean, you can get a plane to learn how to fly in for $20,000 to $40,000. Now, it's not gonna be a high performance, you know, big, crazy, luxurious plane, but it's gonna be something that's gonna allow you to get training. Cheapest helicopter that I would feel comfortable buying to start training in, probably closer to like $250,000, $300,000. And that's gonna get you like a Robinson R22, R44. With the instructor here in Utah, we spent the next several days doing more training, flying one-on-one, and he gave me what's called a solo endorsement. Now, every pilot, as you fly, you have a logbook where you keep track of everything you've ever done. He passed this, he did this, he's now able to fly by himself. And so I got my solo endorsement, jumped in the helicopter, took off, flew around. You know, I was able to fly all those 40 hours that I needed to take my test really quickly, obviously because I owned the helicopter and I was taking it very seriously. So I think from start to finish, I was ready to take my final test within, I don't know, 2 weeks from the date that I started training, which is very unusually fast. It's not gonna happen that fast for everybody, but in my case, found a good deal on a helicopter, found a good deal on an instructor, and went to work. In doing that, once you have your 40 hours and once you pass a written test, which then meant I was ready for my final exam, which is basically a check ride. You jump in the helicopter at the airplane with that person and you know, they give you a whole oral exam before you start. So they ask you all these questions you have to know all the answers to. Jumped in, bam, passed the oral, no problem. Jumped in the helicopter, flew it, passed the practical part, no problem. Signed me off, and next thing you know, I have my private pilot's license. So in having a private pilot's license, that means that I can go out and fly helicopters and airplanes non-commercially. Basically, I can't do it for hire, okay? So once you have your private pilot's license, from there, the sky's the limit. You can become a flight instructor, you can become military pilot. There's a bunch of different programs out there to help you further your flying career. That's what we're going to talk about today. Since I'm a private pilot that wants to fly a very specific, very complex, very large helicopter, I have to get what's called a type rating. Now I have to get a type rating in the Blackhawk because the Blackhawk weighs more than 12,500 pounds. And the FAA has designated all these different categories of all types of different aircraft that you have to get type ratings in. You know, some examples of those would be if you want to fly jets, if you want to fly multi-engine aircraft, and all these different type ratings require different types of training that are specific to the aircraft that you're getting your type rating in. So in order for me to be able to get my type rating, I have to receive training. I have to receive training from a flight instructor that can show me, you know, what goes into flying a Blackhawk, both ground school and in the air. But lucky for you guys, today we're gonna get an exclusive inside look at an Army National Guard training facility where they actually train, you know, National Guard members to fly Blackhawks and Lakotas.
There's not a name test later.
There is. It's right now, yep.
We have them on our uniforms.
So we are at an Army facility down in Pinal County, Arizona. And this place is called WATS. That stands for Western Army Aviation Training Site. So here at the WATS facility in Arizona, they specialize in training guys how to fly and maintain Blackhawk Alpha and Lima models, because you got to understand that there's a bunch of different models when it comes to the Blackhawks. It's basically as they continue to upgrade and modify and, you know, become newer and newer with, you know, new systems and technologies, they continue to increase that letter of the alphabet. I believe the military is currently flying the Blackhawk Mike model, and my helicopter was a Blackhawk Alpha model, which was upgraded to the Alpha Plus, which means it has, you know, more power, bigger engines, all the better components. It has pretty much everything that you would find on a Blackhawk Lima model. So the Watts program teaches guys how to fly and maintain those models of Blackhawk, and it also teaches guys how to move into the Lakota helicopters. With this program, they'll take the pilot and they will start training him on what it takes to learn how to fly one of these monster helicopters, which is exactly the position that I'm in. Now you have to understand, I am not in the Army. I am not in the National Guard. I am not a member of any of the armed forces. I'm just a private business owner who wants to learn how to fly ex-Army helicopters. So what I'm doing here at Watts today, I'm not necessarily receiving training because I'm not able to be enrolled in their program. But what I am able to do is come in here and show you guys how this program works, and I'm able to become familiar with the process, which includes flying an actual Blackhawk simulator.
You look at it.
Now, you guys have seen, airplane simulator games, as basic as just a screen in front of you where you're clicking buttons, all the way to full motion simulators, which are basically giant pods on hydraulic arms that move, and every time you move the joystick, it's like an actual flying experience. It's just, you're not in the air, you're in a giant warehouse in a giant pod. But the thing about full motion simulators, especially the one here at the Watts program, is it is insanely accurate. Like, everything is exactly how you would find a real Blackhawk helicopter. And there's not many of these things around. There's only I don't know how many there are, but I would say there's only a handful across the country, if that. So I'm about to jump in a multi-million-dollar full motion Blackhawk simulator. See how it goes. Start everything from the minute you get near the helicopter to the minute you're in the air. Shows you step by step by step, and that's the stuff that we're gonna learn today, right?
That's it, buddy.
All right.
We're gonna go over startup.
Okay.
Shut down. Startup. We'll fly a little bit, then we'll do some emergency procedures, and then we'll shut her down.
All right.
Just get you familiar with this thing. It's gonna be pretty awesome.
Where do you want to start?
All right. So first things first. Let's. We're just gonna go through a couple things. Then once we get familiar with everything, we'll kick some guys out. Then we'll put it up on full motion.
Okay.
But Chief Knaus, he's gonna run the box from back here, so he can give us all different scenarios and whatnot. So. The initial setup, we'll just go get us on the runway. We'll turn everything off. We'll just go through a startup.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
I know, right? You would think that'd be for like a mic.
Shutting everything off so they can restart the simulator and start from the beginning.
I can give you any scenario. I can make it catch on fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to start with?
No, yeah. We'll crawl, walk, run.
Start with fire.
Yeah, start with fire and flight. Dual engine failure, auto rotation immediately. Step one. We can have an RPG coming at the helicopter. And small arms fire.
I'm feeling great.
Can you give me a battery
Excited to
power?
fly.
Oh, here you go.
There we go. Right. So we got the battery. All right, so to familiarize you with the cockpit. You organize this cockpit. You're very familiar with scans, vertical speed, your altimeter, radar altimeter, airspeed indicator, position indicator, blade de-icing, your avionics packages and radios, stabilizer control.
Listen, man, it's pretty cool, not gonna lie. I also envision this is what it's gonna be like when we get back. Sparks is gonna build an office like this. He's gonna sit in all day, and there's gonna be the same walkway, but no bridge. So it'll be like, just kind of like right here, like throwing stuff at the door, hoping he's, listening. It's kind of what I envision when we get back. It's pretty spot on, man.
There's our light back there. Knaus, where you at?
Power?
If not, we got this awesome Phantom Hawk.
Oh, look at that.
Come on,
So,
Sparks.
was it?
Come on, Sparks.
I love it.
You guys already broke it? Sparks, why fly with your nipples out?
Oh, that's how you're supposed to fly.
Lose one, still fly with it. You can lose one or the other and continue to fly. We'll talk more about the SAS as we go. Fuel boost pump control switch. This is such a critical piece of equipment that we're going to verify that it works. Fire extinguishers.
JT, do you know what you're doing?
I do.
Do we need to switch spots?
Hands up.
I can beat bop some stuff
Do we need to do a
around.
reset? Power control levers, fuel system selector. We're looking back at the cargo hook, APU.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty. You should have received something in the mail.
Overhead circuit breakers and switches. Searchlight, landing light. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started up.
I just bump started. You guys want us to push it? Nice bump start.
That's my favorite one so far. I can't think of another one.
Get out.
It's a simulator.
You guys got all that, right? That was easy. You're following along? So
Wasn't too much, right?
it's no different than like a Robinson R44. Just a couple buttons, a lot of buttons. Since this is a simulator for the Army, they got to make sure that this aircraft has as many of the components that a pilot could potentially run into. My helicopter is not going to have all this. We can do everything we need with an iPad and a little Garmin screen. The main panel is going to look almost identical. Everything else pretty much the same. So as you guys can see, the simulator is insanely accurate. All the buttons, all the controls, all the lights, everything is exactly how I'm going to find it in my personal Blackhawk. The only differences you'll see are some of the radio and avionics components. Since this thing is military and it's designed to train, military pilots, everything is going to be very specific to, the military, flights and the roles that they play in combat. So basically what that means is there's a bunch more avionics and radios and different sensors and things that I don't need in mine because those are military grade components. Everything else as far as the controls, the gauges, the cluster, the throttles, the levers, everything is the same. And the inputs that I put into, the controls are gonna make the simulator do exactly what a Blackhawk is gonna do in real life. Now keep in mind, in my first video about the Blackhawk, I was able to jump in an actual Blackhawk and fly it around down in Alabama. First time I'd ever flown a Blackhawk, and I got, maybe about an hour of flying time, and it was insane. It was a completely different flying experience from, like my regular helicopter you guys see me flying all the time. Even though all the controls are basically the same, the way it performs and acts is completely different. Now, obviously there isn't a huge market for private pilots to become Blackhawk pilots for personal use. I'm one of the very few out there, if not the only guy that's using the Blackhawk for basically private use. But there is a market for companies that buy Army Blackhawks and they convert them into heavy lift helicopters for firefighting, agriculture, construction, projects where you need a helicopter that can lift a lot of weight and do what a Blackhawk can do. So there are civilian training programs that take civilian pilots and teach them how to, become a Blackhawk pilot and get type rated in it. I'm not going through any of those programs. I'm not going through the Army program. I'm not going through, a civilian training program, which is teaching, commercial pilots how to fly them. I'm going through a private program, but being here at the Watts facility in Arizona allows me to see how the Army does it and to get a little bit of experience flying in the simulator. So the time that I'm getting in the simulator down here at the Watts facility is priceless because you're not gonna get this experience anywhere else. And even though I can't necessarily log it as training time because I'm not part of this program, it's still something that is definitely gonna help me as I become, of an actual Blackhawk pilot. So my training program, just to break it down, consists of ground school with JT, where he teaches me all the systems, flight training, so in the air. So basically when we go down to pick up my helicopter from Thoroughbred Aviation in Kentucky, which should happen here in the next couple of weeks, as soon as I get in the helicopter, my training begins. Once JT feels like I am proficient and safe, he's going to sign me off to go get my, practical exam. So then there's another FAA designated examiner who I will jump in the helicopter with, and again, before I even jump in the helicopter, he's gonna do some oral test outside the helicopter, make sure I understand the systems. Before we even start the helicopter, he's gonna make sure I understand all the startup and shutdown procedures, and it's gonna be a quiz the whole time. And then we're gonna actually take off, and he's gonna see that I know how to safely fly it, that I understand the emergency procedures. This is what's called a check ride. So the check ride, I think you fly for roughly an hour, and that gives the examiner enough time to say, yes, you're safe, check you off, now you have your type rating, or not yet, you need a little bit more training, let's try this again in a few weeks, and then I have to continue my training. I'm hoping that by the time I'm ready for my check ride, which again should happen 2 or 3 weeks after I pick up my helicopter, that I can get in there and pass it on the first go. And if I do that, well then, I am a private pilot with a type rating to fly a Blackhawk, which probably not many of those guys around. Most Blackhawk pilots are at least commercial pilots or military pilots, or are way further on in their flying career. I just kind of jumped and skipped a bunch of steps because I can, and it's the way that I want to fly. And since I'm not going to be using this Blackhawk for business, and I'm not going to be using it to fly people around or to put out fires, I fall in a different category of standards that I have to follow.
We'll do the first start. So, starter's engagement.
Okay, engine's running, full rotor RPM. We got a whole airport in front of us. Now we're just gonna pick it up and do some flying.
Let's just do left close traffic.
Left close traffic.
It's a radar on Twitter. You do? It's this guy right here.
Okay.
Just do a flat.
How's it going in here, gentlemen?
No, I whispered.
I've been watching you on that screen up there,
Yeah.
and I have been impressed.
You haven't been?
No, you haven't done one flip.
One Husker do?
Yeah. It's all rotating. Lost all power. David?
Pull back. Push it. Oh. That's because you were too slow getting it back. We lost all the rotor. It bled all the rotor out.
I was down before you even cut the engine.
And you're too slow.
You're gonna have to reset.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, unreal.
We're in the earth.
So another thing they have at the Watts training facility is a maintenance program, and they're walking us through it and they're showing us how it works. And this program is really cool because what they do is they take Army maintainers, people who actually work on the aircraft, and they put them into simulators. So you can actually run a simulator of working on a helicopter before you touch an actual helicopter. And this is important because it allows you to make mistakes without expensive consequences. If you make a mistake in the simulation, your instructor walks you through it, what you did wrong, you hit reset, start over, and you do it again. It didn't cost the Army any money, and there was no accident, no issues. The maintainers and the pilots that come out of the Watts program or the EATS program or any of the Army aviation training programs are the best of the best. It's basically just the most thorough training you can possibly get. And what's cool is if you are interested in becoming an Army pilot or a National Guard pilot or maintainer working on these aircraft, you can join the National Guard. Let's say you're in the Arizona National Guard and you want to work at the Watts facility. Well, that's all you gotta do. You gotta be part of the National Guard in Arizona. You apply to work at the Watts facility, you get a job down there, and you can work in this amazing training program, training other pilots and maintainers, basically what you're seeing here today. So huge shout out to the National Guard for giving us the opportunity to come down and see their very robust training program. They have everything from pilot training to maintenance training and everything that the Army needs to build good, talented, competent, safe pilots and aircraft maintainers to protect our country. I'm a big supporter of, the military. Every branch of the military, all the people that serve, everyone who has made, sacrifices to defend our freedom. I have huge respect for you, and seeing what goes into, this massive training program, it just gives me that much more respect for the way the Army does things. And there's a sense of pride here in Army aviation that you don't really see a lot of other places. People that work here and that are part of this program are proud to be here. They love what they do and they do it very, very well. So with that said, our time at Watts is done. It's time to fly back to Utah and let the maintenance get finished up on the Blackhawk, which should be done very soon. And then we're gonna fly down there, jump in it, and my actual flight training is gonna begin. I've already begun my ground school with JT. So JT and I meet regularly, and we've been going over the systems and everything that I need to learn about what, how the Blackhawk works, all the ground school stuff, all the important technical details, all that stuff I'm gonna have a good head start on before I ever even set foot in my own helicopter to start flying at home. So guys, that's it. That is basically everything you need to know about becoming a Blackhawk pilot and, any other sort of, aviation pilot, whether it's helicopters or fixed wing. Hopefully this gives you some insight into how that program works and what it takes. There is a really great flight school right here in my own backyard. In fact, Jason, my buddy who flew us down to the Watts facility in Arizona, flies my plane because I am not licensed to fly that plane. So everywhere we go, he's my pilot, and he runs one of the greatest flight schools in the country called Flight Academy. Right here, it's literally, the runway is in the backyard of our shop. So if you're interested in becoming a fixed wing pilot, you got to check out Flight Academy. I'll put a link in the description below to the school. I stand behind them big time. A lot of my friends and people that I know have gone through the program and have become, big airline pilots pretty quickly through that program. With that said, I'm going to get my Blackhawk in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to show you guys the whole process of picking it up, flying it home, finishing my training, taking my check ride, and getting type rated in a Blackhawk helicopter, which has been a lifelong dream of mine, and it's finally coming true. So I appreciate the support, guys. I appreciate you, being interested in this project. Flying is one of the greatest things that I've ever done. For me, it's therapy. Being able to go out and just be free and, take control of an airplane or a helicopter. I'm telling you, if you've never done it, you should look into it because it is one of the greatest feelings in the world. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned because more Blackhawk coming soon. So guys, if you want an opportunity to take over the world by choosing your own strategy and engaging in the most epic battles with the most modern weapons, you have to click the link in my description and download Conflict of Nations. You're gonna get 13,000 gold and 1 month of premium subscription absolutely free. The offer's only good for 30 days, so don't miss out. Click the link in my description now and choose your country and fight your way to victory.